So do you want to know the plan or you want to just jump in?
Let's just jump in.
Okay, let's just jump in. Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Marie Fleming. I'm an author, a filmmaker, and a story coach. And I'm here with the wonderful, the fabulous Caroline Fowler Davis, a good friend of mine, and somebody who asked me a question that I thought I would come on here and answer since it works in this series that I'm doing about how do we make money as writers? How do we make a living? It is my goal to help people see this as any other career that has its ups and downs, that has its ways to make money, it has its starving artists, and it has its rich billionaires and everything in between, just like any other career. So Caroline came today and talked to me about monetization and how to put your books out and everything. And so I was like, would you be willing to hop on a call with me and answer this live? Would you
Hmm.
be willing to let me coach you and share it with others who might have the same question? And so, Caroline, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that we did that mid-call, so I still have questions. I haven't gotten the answer, which I feel like there's probably not the
There's
answer.
100%. The answer is
Oh,
63.
perfect. Okay. Well,
Okay.
we can just end now.
Well, it's cool. That was
So,
good. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming today.
but I'm excited because yeah, this truly is mid-call where I still got things to talk about.
What is on your mind right now as a person who is trying to build a career as a writer and around being a writer?
My big question right now is I want to bring in money from writing so that I can not do as much work to bring in money that is not writing, that then takes away time from writing. And then the detailed layer of what is pushing this question is I had a book that I have written. I was going to go the traditional publishing route with
I'm
it.
sorry, you have two books that you have written. Don't just one, you have
I
two
have two
books.
books, but top of mind is one right now. Yeah, I have two. So I have this book I wrote. I got an agent for it. She dropped me. I got another agent. I walked away from that. I have this book. Overall, this period, I've decided I wanted to self-publish the book. So I was gearing up to self-publish this book, starting to think through all the timelines, really getting excited about this path instead. And then I got feedback from a very trusted reader saying they felt that this book could be four books, that I had outlined a series, not a book. And in the past, that would have really overwhelmed me. I just wanted to get my book out and I wasn't open to that feedback. And then now I've been craving writing. I've been missing writing. I heard that and I thought, yes, this book could totally, because I write sci-fi, I get deep into the world building. I have spent 6 years is when I left my corporate job and started focusing on writing and freelance consulting. I've spent so much time on this book that all of a sudden I was thinking, do I want to self-publish the book as is, or do I want to take some more time and revise this into four and then fast release those? So there's a bit of a publication strategy question here that then evolved into a monetization question because I'm cautious that I'm a perfectionist and I want to sit on things. And so is this me sitting on my book rather than just get it out there? Get out the version you have, write more? Or is it don't crash launch this book that could be this better thing? And that's how Substack came up for me because if I'm going to revise this book right now, I was challenging myself to think, how could I build in public? How can I open the door instead of going and disappearing and revising? So, what could I do with this asset that I have, this book that I have that people like, but I could split into four? What if I shared the book as is on Substack, paywalled? And how could I bring people in as I'm revising this version to then build my excited readership for when that book is ready? It's technically one question.
Yeah, that's a good question. That one question has so many things in it, and I'm so excited.
Thank
This is why
you.
I was like, can we share this with others? Because this is a question that I face. This is a question that I'm getting asked all the time. This is a question that I'm interacting with all the time. And one of the things I always say, you know this, I don't know any better than anybody else. I'm just having more of these conversations, so I'm getting more perspectives. So I don't know what the right answer is for you as a friend or as somebody that I'm coaching through this, but I would love to talk you through some of the questions that I think you should ask around this so you could kind of get closer to finding the answer yourself. And
Mhm.
so there are a couple things that you said in there that I thought were really interesting. One, I've read the other book of the two books that are in similar universes, so I feel like they go together in the same IP.
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw, Caroline, my post on like how to make money as a writer, but one of the things I talk about is building up IP. Building up multiple things in the same world. Think about Star Wars. Star Wars is huge. Marvel, right? Have you ever bought one of those series where like book 2 and 3 sucked, but you bought it anyways because you wanted to know what happened in the series, right? You want to
Right.
keep writing. So I brought up that you have two books because you have two books in this world. And that already is benefiting you financially more than having one book in this world that you've written. You said they're 95,000 word books. You've
Mhm.
told me that. 95,000 100 word books. So, like, pretty solid, substantial books. The average book on the shelf is 60 to 80,000 words. So, it's a little bit bigger, one of those like bigger YA sci fi books. Or you could break them into smaller books. So now you go from having two books to eight books.
I can only do it on one
Right?
hand.
Eight books. We're both trying to do the Spock thing. Eight books in a series, and now you have massive IP. And
Mhm.
one of the things I've been told over and over again is the sweet spot for self-published authors is anywhere from 7 to 12 books. So you're sitting in the sweet spot with 8 books.
Mhm.
People see a lot of results in the seventh book that they have out. They start seeing people go into the first and buying them, and now you're selling people 8 things. People who read, especially on Kindle Unlimited, tend to binge series. And so you have series that are done. They love waiting for the next series, but not more than like 3 months. So
Mm.
you can pace them out and suddenly they'll buy them all at once. They can binge them, they can get them. You have so much potential here in the self-publishing world. If you were traditional publishing, you would look at 2 books.
Mhm.
They wouldn't break them into four. They would look at them as 2 books. And so this is where the question of is it better for me to self-publish or traditionally publish monetarily? It depends on who you are and what your book is and how much marketing you're willing to do, but you have a potential for 8 books. So I love this idea of breaking them into books. And I started there because when people ask me, are you stuck? Should I go fast? Should I slow down? I ask like, is there a real barrier that's keeping you from getting your books out? And knowing you, you have a real barrier of publishing is in a complete and total shit show right now. It is turned upside down. It is hard to know what's going on. Very few people are selling anything. They are looking for the next big hit, but they're only judging that on the last thing that was a hit. And by the time your book comes out, it's not going to be a hit anymore. So
Mhm.
you have an actual barrier that publishing is just not taking your book. You've had agents, you've had stuff, publishing is just not taking your book. And I'm going to say this to you as a friend. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your book. But the person who said this can be more books is someone I trust. I know that editor. Shout out to that person. And so I want to think about that as okay, you actually have a real reason to pause and ask, should my books be out now? Versus if you came to me and you're like, I don't know, I think the grammar's off, or I think the pacing's off, I'd be like, just put the damn thing out. Get it out
Mhm.
there. You're self-publishing it. If your pacing's off, you could rewrite it and reprint it tomorrow. You have an actual reason to pause and ask the question, do I want to turn this into 4 books instead of one? Or 2 books instead of one? So that's the question. Do you want to turn this into 4 books instead of one, 2 books?
It's funny because self-publishing has always felt inaccessible, unreachable to me, partly because of ego. There was ego work of changing my goal from I really wanted traditional publishing to is that what I want anymore? But the other big piece that made it feel daunting to me was I'm a slow writer. And I'd always read that you need to be fast releasing, you need to be releasing a lot of books quickly. And I was like, I've written this two, 2 books over the last 6 years. But then when this friend reframed it, he said, you didn't write 2 books. You wrote 4, 6, 8 books. And then that made me feel better of like, oh, I'm not trying to write a book a year, but all this deep, deep work and effort I did, that's why I want to split it into 4. So yes, it's not because I just want to tweak it a little more. It's I've already done the work. Yes, do I really want to go through more revisions? No, but it just feels right. It feels like I agree with that feedback. It's that feedback you get that you're resigned. You're like, ah, I agree with you. Like I feel it. I'm not even going to fight you. You're
Yeah.
right. You just created more work for me, but thank you because you're right. And that is how I feel about this.
As somebody who has looked at your book with an editor's view of of the other one in this series, I was like, let us breathe. Give me more emotionality. Let us breathe. And so that fills your book up to a full-size book, right? Each
Mhm.
act could easily expand. So you have an easy way to make this 4 books.
Oh, yeah.
So make it 4 books.
Which I will add, the funny thing is when you're saying let it breathe, both of my literary agents cut, 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 faster, faster, faster,
Hmm.
pace, pace, pace. I reread that first book that I hadn't read it in 2 years. I put it aside after my second agent fiasco. And I pulled it out recently and I read it and I loved it, but my heart was
Yeah,
racing.
you're like, you keep me on edge. It's a great action thriller. But if I'm watching this in a theater, I'm like, yes. But also I'm like, I need to breathe. Give me some time to eat my
Yes.
popcorn.
Yes. So I write dystopian sci-fi. It is meant to do that. But even for me, I was like, oh, Nelly, I'm tired.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree that I want to slow down a little. I want to have some pauses.
I want to go back to what you said about the ego. Leaving trad publishing can be really hard for your ego. In fact, as somebody who has a traditionally published book and 2 self-published books, and I help a lot of people both traditionally publish and self-publish, I find that there is still such a stigma in the world against self-publishing in the literary world. Nobody else seems to care. I was at my doctor's the other day. She's like, I love that you self-published because Fat Girl and you got it out there and you did it on your own. It is everywhere. It's so great that you did that on your own and you didn't go with trad publishing. I was like, well, that's my one trad published book. She's like, oh, well, it's still good. Like it was the opposite. It was the opposite of what I would have thought. And
That's so
so
funny.
I think that what one of the things I'm always telling you, and I tell myself too, is don't try to let go of the ego. The ego's always going to want the hit. What's the bigger ego hit? And the
Mhm.
bigger ego hit is I have 8 books out and I can control the narrative myself. And
Mhm.
I didn't let publishing gatekeepers keep me from getting my books out. Don't let go of the ego, embrace it. So, what is your ego loving about self publishing and the opportunities in there?
So I come from a finance and tech background, and for freelance now, I do operations consulting. And I just love numbers, control. I like being able to touch things and look at things. And so that's been a very exciting piece for me is realizing I'll be able to know how my books are doing. I can change what I'm doing. I can decide if I want to split it into four and when I want to do it. And realizing I can control all that is very exciting for me.
I hired Caroline to help me with the ops of prepping for my launch for Because Fat Girl. And one of the things that frustrated both of us is how little transparency you get about anything they're doing on the publisher. In fact, you sign away confidentiality, so you can't share, you can't talk. And we both were like, but give us the numbers. What's moving the needle? Tell us the numbers so we can keep doing that thing so we can sell more books. And you don't get any of that.
Right.
I know that I personally hand sold at least 1,000 books in the first month of my book being out. But otherwise, I don't have any data. I know that I hand sold by doing all my events and doing my everything. I hand sold 1,000. Otherwise, I just get the number and I don't know where it comes from and I think, but with self-publishing, a numbers nerd like you can run ads and you see detailed breakdowns of where everybody's coming from and what made them and the
Mm.
read-through rates and all that stuff. That just feels so up your alley. And these are the conversations when you're trying to decide between trad and self-publish that people don't talk about. Most people don't want to look at their numbers. They don't want to have all that data. You love
Right.
data, and so self-publishing is a much smarter route for someone like you to take so you can have that data and that control.
Right. No, it totally makes sense that it depends on the person. Like we have a friend who loves writing and just wants to write.
Yeah.
And so that path, trad, makes sense for them versus for me, I get so frustrated when I don't like, why? Why can't I see it? Why did you change it? Why can't I do it this way? So for me, it makes sense.
I love
It's
that.
taken me like 10 months to get there. Y'all are seeing this answer. It's been 10
You're
months of
seeing
me
lots of
calling
phone calls and
Lauren, but now I want to do trad. But there was this book festival. But I really want to know the data, so I'm going to do it myself. And it was this.
I do it throughout the life of a book. I change whether I want to trad or self. And at the end of the book, when it is done, that's when I ask, does this need to be trad or does this need to be self? And so I free myself up. I tell myself it's just self through the whole thing. And then at the end, if it's something that I'm like for example, memoirs, probably I would want to do trad because I worry that I'd be too in my head and wouldn't be able to edit it well enough. There's certain
Mhm.
things I want to still do trad. There's certain things. Nonfiction, I've always said like no, but I don't know, maybe. So I think it's asking yourself what the book's needs are and where what your needs are at the time that the book is ready to come out. And these days, having self-published it, if you do well, you can get trad later. Not always. One of the biggest problems is if you put a book out self-publishing and it goes nowhere, that's it. You can't go back to trad because you already proved this book won't sell. So there are some pitfalls to it, but I also know plenty of people who did trad and sold less. We have friends that make a lot of money self-publishing and friends that are writing so many books and are broke, are losing money in trad. So it's not a one or the other, it's just what's best for you.
I think a
And
breakthrough I had for reframing with you was that where I was realizing I was comparing the top successful trad to the meh outcome self-publishing, where I was like, well, I could get this massive book deal and be the headliner if I do trad. And if I do self-pub, I'm going to sell 5 books. And it was not only not the same scenario, it was a binary where, well, what if I do trad and it's meh? And what if I do self-publishing and it's amazing? And I could still go there later. And I realized I just was being unfair in my comparisons.
yeah, one of the big romance publishers is going just to people who've self-published now.
Mhm.
They're only going over. I know Dungeon Crawler Carl, Matt Dinneman, he self-published all of those. And then he made a deal with a publisher that they would put the physical books in bookstores, but he would still keep the ebook and audiobook rights. Rebecca Yaros of Fourth Wing, she started as self-pub. A lot of these big authors started self-pub.
Not shouting my favorite author, Hugh Howey.
Hugh
Well,
Howey,
Silo, the
you
TV
love Hugh
series.
Howey,
I love Hugh
self-pub.
Howey. And he has
Everybody
a great article that I read, and I was like, oh, he was calling me out on all my ego hits of like, think about this. And he
yeah.
pushes self-pub.
And so we like to think we're going to be this Stephen King's, the V.E. Schwab's, the Lee Bardugos who hit it really huge in traditional publishing. But I sold more copies than most people I know, and I still didn't sell that many copies. Most
Mm.
people are bottom list to mid list. Most people don't sell a lot of copies. So we have to compare apples to apples, right? We have to compare apples to apples. We also have to just know that I'm an apple, you're an orange, and that person's a banana, and we're all going to take the path we want. The path to get your book out is the right book. But thinking about monetization beforehand is really smart. So one of the things that you need to make it work as self-publishing is one, you have your multiple books. It really helps to have multiple books. So you're going to have 8 books now, we'll call it. We'll just call it 4 to 8 books, right? You're either going to do 4 to 8 books that you're going to have in the next 2 years that you're going to be able to put out. And so those books then need people to read them for you to make money off of. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of books out. A great example of that is my writer's career guide. I had my second organ removal surgery in a year, and I just wrote that while I was bored on the sofa, and then I put it out and I did nothing with it. So then I revamped it and then I started promoting it, and now guess what? Sales are going up. I had 7 sales before I started deciding to like revamp it and put it back out there. But I needed to just do something while I was stuck on the sofa again, having another surgery. And sometimes that's what a book is, right? You just need to put it out. And so if you're not willing to promote it, if there's no audience for it, you're never going to make money from it. So that comes back to the question that you had of what do you do with your Substack? How do you use your Substack to help you start making money as a writer? And one of the questions I had for you was, what's the goal? If you had your dream Substack scenario, what would that look like?
So it's funny. I was putting pressure on myself thinking, oh, I'm only wanting to do Substack because of money, because everyone's doing it. Like there's this practical purpose. But when I sat back, I realized I wrote a blog all through high school and college that very few people saw. It was not monetized, and I loved it. And I love that I wrote it because I have these stories that I still really, really remember because I documented them.
Mm.
I realized I keep coming back to Substack because, shocker, I'm a writer and I like writing. And I have lost that in the past few years as I've been waiting for agents, waiting on approvals, and just waiting on others. And so I come back to Substack because I want to write. And then the other piece, bringing in this monetization piece, I guess to answer, you're asking me like, where do I want to be? Is what if I could monetize my writing in a different way than just books so that I can spend more time writing? Because currently I spend a lot of time doing hourly work for clients, helping them in their businesses. And that can cut off at any time, but also I'm so invested in them that it's hard for me to context switch.
Mhm.
Versus, even if my Substack, at least the articles I've written in the past, they're not fiction. They're just documenting my life and my process and this publishing journey. I at least am reflecting, I'm sharing, I'm connecting with community. I am documenting it for my future self. So that is a piece I love about Substack is I'm not trying to launch a business Substack, but what if I could do more of what I did in the past and monetize it?
Why aren't you doing this on Instagram where you spend a lot of time and you have multiple million hits and you got on NPR from an Instagram reel and you have tens of thousands of followers and you've built a lot? Like, why not stick double down on Instagram?
It's funny. Yes, I did have those things. I had some reels get millions of views. I did get the NPR interview. I did get a lot of
No big
followers.
deal. Just like NPR interview from doing really great. And you put a lot of work into that. I just want to hold that. You put
It
a
was very
lot of
random.
work.
It was random.
That was random, but you were making content consistently from a very aligned point of view. Why switch to Substack if you've already put all of that effort and work into Instagram?
I find Instagram draining, and
Hmm.
I find not to say Substack, but at least my newsletter and my interactions with my community energizing. So Instagram, one, that thing that went viral, also brought in a lot of nasty. Like there was
Hmm.
good, but there was a ton of nasty. And as authors, we know it's like for every 10 compliments, you remember the one negative.
Yeah.
There were so many nice comments on those reels, but I remember these. And it took a long time for me to move past that public criticism, not even criticism. It's not like I did anything. It's just hate. It's just online hate. I didn't like the online hate. I didn't like this pressure that maybe I will feel this with Substack in the future, but this pressure I get with Instagram in the back of my mind of I should be posting more. I should be posting more. And if I'm not posting, I'm thinking it. If I am posting, I'm thinking I should do more. And it's this bottomless black hole. And I feel like I don't get that as much with Substack. I say I feel because I'm not doing a consistent cadence right now. I just would do it when I would get excited and want to update my community. I'm not a business one doing twice a week. But I feel like I wouldn't feel that as much because there is a longer form thought process to it rather than shoot, I just need to put out some B-roll and check the box for today. So Instagram feels like nasties and a roller coaster and it disappears. I don't even see my own content. Versus I'll go read my old newsletters and be like, wow, this is how I felt then. Or, oh, bless her heart. She was so excited.
She's so cute. I love that, Caroline.
I know. And I love, like, I can see my past me so well there. And Instagram, it's not that I can't see my past me. I just never go look at my own content.
Mhm.
So no one else is.
Yeah. I feel this too. I'm on an Instagram break right now just to try to work on something else because it becomes consuming. What I was doing was working to build up an audience and I was getting views, but it becomes consuming and none of my people were actually seeing it. I could only project to other random people. So I feel this. I think you have a couple reasons why I like Substack for you. One, if you want to make a mean comment, you have to pay. You can leave a comment if you pay. You can make it so only the people who can comment are paid subscribers, or these days, Substack has this great one that it's a free or paid subscriber. So you at least have to subscribe to make a comment.
Give
And
me
you
your
don't get the
email.
yeah, you don't get the like drive-by hate that you get on
Mhm.
other things. And even if you do, okay, you got to at least give me your email or you got to give me money. And if it gets to be really volatile, you can turn it to just paid only. So then you got to pay me $9 if you want to make a mean comment to me, right? And like you better really thank you. I'll take your $9 and or whatever your monthly rate is. And so I like that. There's less trolls and I found that I was really struggling with perfectionism. And I truly believe Instagram was part of that because
Mhm.
Instagram likes to a takedown in a way that Substack doesn't like a takedown. I
Yes.
haven't seen one yet. People have hot takes all the time, but they're not like coming to my post. to take me down in a
Mm-mm.
way that people have been. I have been, I mean, I had one recently that was so messed up and so bad on Lesbian Visibility Week that from
Mhm.
lesbians just attacking me that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So you don't
Mhm.
have the trolls, you don't have the takedowns, the culture is different. You also don't have that pressure in the back of your mind to post more because honestly, I don't want to hear from you more than once a week on Substack.
Yeah, I
Versus,
don't want to send more than one a week. That's
Mhm.
I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, versus Instagram, they're like, I just saw a thing where they were like, post 5 reels a day and you'll do it. I'm like, no, it's not a full-time job. Second, there is little to no monetization on Instagram. So you're putting all
Yeah.
this work on a way that there's nowhere you can't send them to something. You can't link it. You can't do it without it being salesy mini chatty, right? In
Hmm.
Substack, you can ask them to simply support you. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I used to have all these things that you got if you signed up to support me, and then people like you just paid me because they're like, I want to pay you because I love you and your content and appreciate you and want you to keep doing it in the world. So you don't see that on other platforms in the same way. I know TikTok's trying to do a little bit of it. YouTube, you can do ads, but like, yeah. And then it disappears. You can reuse content. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm doing this series on monetization. I plan on putting that together on my main page, like watch these videos, read these posts on that. You can't really do that on Instagram or other social media. And then thoughtful versus algorithmic. You want to slow down and be thoughtful in what you send, and then versus trying to keep up with an algorithm's trend. You lead the conversation on Substack as a writer, the algorithm as a visual leads it over here. So all of these are great reasons for you to choose this. And I went through all of that because if you're going to try to choose a monetization path, it needs to be aligned with who you want to be. And it feels to me like this is very aligned. How does that feel to you? How does that
And
resonate?
I will say with Instagram, because we actually said this on the call earlier, was I will go through phases where I enjoy being on Instagram because I like storytelling and connecting with people. That is what will bring me there. But then I'll feel this yuckiness of I'm wasting time because not that everything needs to be monetized, but I have no path for monetization there, at least currently. I don't have products or services, but on Substack, I don't need that. I can do it, I can put energy into it because I enjoy it. And if people want to support me, there is an option. So I like that there at least is a way to monetize versus just I spent 3 hours on this reel and then it flopped and then I feel bad and then rinse and repeat.
Or I go on Instagram and I'm feeling bad because I'm just seeing like clickbait content, right? There's so much there. And you can get that on Substack too. Notes will do the same thing. But when
Mhm.
you go to write a Substack and you send a Substack and read, it's just different.
I
So then,
definitely found myself consuming as a way to research on Instagram.
Mm.
It took over and it was affecting you just get distracted. It was affecting my focus. And I felt productive because I was consuming, but I wasn't creating at all. And yes, you can do that on Substack, but at least I'm reading something long form where I open 5 tabs and I'll read the essays, but it doesn't feel the same. It's not the brain rot level of Instagram.
I was off Instagram in 2025 and I was looking back through and I was dating somebody at the time. And my photos of her and I are just these beautiful moments I wanted to remember. Versus if we had been dating and I was trying to put her on Instagram, it would have been a completely different. Like I got back on Instagram towards the end and I took different photos of us together.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So I
I
don't think
like
the
the other ones much better.
So I just drafted a few Substack posts. Again, I haven't written essays and I haven't written in over a year on there. And it's funny, they came out so fast. I just roughed did them and then came back later. I was like, whoa, I already drafted all three. And I edited them. And the photos I put in are like one's me with a pimple sticker on, one's like my half-eaten yogurt. It's just what is relevant to what I'm talking about, completely unpolished. I would never put those on Instagram.
I love this. So we've chosen this is the right place to try to monetize, try to build an audience. And so
To
I
put
want
my
you to think,
energy, I guess I'll say. Like
yeah.
regardless of if it's monetizing, I think the first step was where do I want to go all in and focus and commit to?
Yeah. And that's the number one key to building an audience and monetizing is do you enjoy yourself? I remember
Mhm.
thinking all the time, I worked for 2 years with Tony Robbins. I was his right-hand content person. So I saw some of the most successful people in the world. And it didn't matter how much money you had. If they liked what they were doing, they were joyful, happy people there to find more satisfaction in their already joyful, happy life. If they didn't like what they were doing, they were trying to find ways to make more money to be happier. And they had to be like, oh, actually, I hate what I'm doing, right? So, whatever you're doing, you will feel abundant in it if you actually enjoy it. So, I love that this seems to be a thing that you're enjoying. I like my Substack. I think of my Substack as a way for me to intimately and detailed and personally, maybe not intimately, but personally connect in a way that allows for nuance and allows for depth. And
Mhm.
it's building an audience who knows me with nuance and depth and knows what I'm teaching with nuance and depth. Like this, right? If I was doing this on Instagram, we would have answered this question in 30 seconds. We are
Mhm.
going to do 30 minutes instead, right? So we have more time, we have more space. I love Substack because it allows me to hit people on YouTube. I put the videos on YouTube. I then take the transcript and turn it into a Substack, and then I put it on audio, which then goes out to Apple and Spotify. And all of that is in one place on my Substack. So if you want to watch this, if you want to listen to it, or if you want to read it, I have you covered, which allows me to meet people where they're at ability wise. I love to go on walks and hear Substack. So I am more likely to subscribe to a Substack that has a voiceover on it. So thinking about the way you connect with Substack. Are you somebody who watches video? Are you somebody who reads it? Are you somebody who listens to the audio? Creating around that as well is important to think about when you're building your audience. By doing all three in one video, I have those three things. It allows me to reach people in three different ways in their life, which builds
Mhm.
me a bigger audience, right? So we're trying to use Substack to build an audience. Overarching everything, you're building an audience for your books, right? We're building an audience for your books. So, with that in mind, then we're looking at monetization. There are two ways to monetize Substack. One is directly within the app, where people are paying you in Substack for a paid or premium version of your Substack. And the other is selling things within your Substack. So, like, I want you all to go read my writer's career guide to deep dive into how to make money as a writer. That's not directly on Substack, but you're reading my Substack and I'm trying to say, hey, go buy this book. I'm going to go get money. So, with that in mind, do you have something that you're like, go buy this, give me your money? A monetization in a way that it would be for something else outside of Substack currently?
No.
Okay, fabulous. You don't. And you're
I
trying to
don't
build
have
it.
any books out accessible to buy, and I don't want to do hourly coaching because I want to move away from direct hour for money.
Mhm. So I could hire you for hourly coaching, but that's going to be a whole different thing, and it's not there, and it's not what you want at all from your Substack.
Mhm.
Okay, fabulous. I think that's more clarity than you had before, which I love because we were like, do we want this to go towards your coaching? Do we want, but your goal of your Substack is building an audience for your books, not your coaching.
Correct.
Okay, love that. So now you have that clarity of what that goal is, building an audience for your books. So then the monetization that you have is Substack itself. So
Mhm.
what do you want to offer? Like what would be exciting for you to give benefits? There's one thing you could do. You can be like, "Hey, just sign up to support me because you like what I'm doing." But there's also benefits to being a paid subscriber. So what are the benefits that you'd want to offer? Like what are some things that sound fun to you to give to those who offer paid subscriptions?
So I would like to say I do have three paid subscribers, my mother, my grandmother, and my college roommate's mom.
Well, I love that. Thank you, mother, grandmother, and college roommate's mom.
Thank you. Yeah, so those are from my just support me button, which has been on, and people have come in and out over the years. So I agree. It doesn't hurt to always have that on and just see who wants to support you.
Yeah, I think I've made like $300 this year off of just that alone. So that's great.
Yeah, so that is great. Yes, now I want to switch to more intentional. And the ideas I came up with, because I'm trying to think always how to build in public, how to, well, create, not consume, but then also when it comes to content, document, don't create. So what I mean is like, I'm not creating stuff just for Instagram. I'm documenting what I'm already doing over here.
I love that.
But it's using create twice. So
No, I love
don't
that.
work
I love
backwards.
that. That's a, like make something that's documenting the process of you making something more aligned with what you really want to
Right.
make instead
So
of
for
like,
me, I want
yeah.
to be creating, not consuming. And then if I am going to do social media, I want to be documenting, not creating, documenting this.
Okay.
So what I realized is, okay, I have this book. I've decided I want to split it into 2 to 4. That was going to require focus time for me to sit and do that and dig back into this world, which is a solo sport. But I have this book right now that I was about to self-publish, that 2 literary agents liked enough to sign me for. And I'm about to rip it up, right? So I realized I have this asset. Why not I use that and put that on Substack? And it doesn't hurt me, even though my knee-jerk reaction is, as an author is like, no, don't share. It's not ready yet. But it's why not? Why not put it out there? Let people who have been so curious and want to see what my writing is. All they've heard is me telling these tales of woe over the years. Like, hey, this is actually what it was. And I could share that. I could, monetize it to some extent, and I could get feedback from them on this as I'm in my writing cave for the new version, because it's the same book. And I'm creating an active readership for when I do launch my book. So I know that's a lot of goals, but it's all achieved by the same thing, where if these people want to read it and get excited, I'm soft marketing with something I already have. So that's actually the document, not create, ironically, while I'm creating here.
Yeah, I think also there's a path to success that's been proven in this structure, right? Matt Dinneman did Dungeon Crawler Carl, a huge book series out right now, and I know that he started on Wattpad. I know people will serialize their stuff, put it out, and then edit it and put it out as a full book. And the people who read it serialized, they then read it the full book because it's a
Mhm.
different experience reading it week by week than it is reading the whole thing. I did this with Plot Twist. I didn't write the full book out in public. I had my audience here on Substack. I was like, what do you want to have happen next? Write it with me. Let's go. And we did a whole, we were at 13 chapters in. And then I said, okay, y'all, I have to like deep dive into this myself. It's too much to ask 1,400 people a month what the next step would be. But because of that, I have people who still email me being like, when is that book coming out? I want to read the final. And they're those people that I reach out to. I'm like, I'm trying to decide if they should do this or this, and they still help me. So there is proof of success of this, right? So that's one of the things. When I look at can I make money off of it, you have proof. Yes. There are many successful people who have done this path before.
Mhm.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up is when you first came to me with this idea, you had like, I'm going to exaggerate here, but like 7 to 10 things you were going to offer the paid people. You were like,
No.
okay, it was at least like 5 to 7 that you were going to
4.
offer paid people. You had all these things that you were going to do, which sounds great in theory. But if you read my last Substack, I am ending my courses because people are overwhelmed right now. And they were all too much. They want something simpler and easier, like a book. So I'm turning my courses into a book. So, what were some of the other ideas you thought about around this that you could add for bonuses? And let's talk through why those could or could not work.
Okay, I'm gonna name them, and it's definitely not 7 to 10, and it might be more than 4. So
You can tell we're friends, and I definitely never exaggerate
I'm
ever.
not gonna confidently claim it was 4 until I name them right now, but it was not 7 to 10. Okay, so what I pitched to Lauren long ago, as in like 30 minutes
As in
ago,
like 30 minutes ago.
was I'm gonna paywall the chapters and have a few chapters free to entice you in. So the paid subscribers will get the chapters. Then my thought was to add a director's cut for each chapter that to make it low lift, I'll just do a video and talk about my experience, my research, funny things that happen, just things that pop in my head related to that chapter. So that would be my director's cut. And then I was suggesting, because I'm thinking about community, people want access. What if I had weekly or biweekly calls? And it's either first, I was thinking it would be a reading of the chapter, but I decided I could just put that with the voiceover on Substack. But it could be like some type of Q&A, some type of creating a book club feel where you have access to my brain as you're reading the book. So it was that live piece. And then the fourth, haha, 4, although maybe I forgot one, was the focus sessions. And this is something I did in the past when I was doing a revision for one of my agents at the time, and I just hit a wall and I didn't want to sit button chair. And I set a goal for myself to meet with 50 strangers on Zoom to do focus sessions. And basically, you get on Zoom. I say, what's your goal for the 50-minute sprint? They tell me, I tell them. We go silent, we mute, we write or work on whatever. And at the end, we quickly check in on how we did. And people loved it and they would come back and do them with me. And I was thinking that could be a tier to offer or a feature to offer to paid because it's double dipping. I'm using that time to revise my book. It is forcing me to get my writing done. And you're coming and doing this thing that people wanted to do with me before. So I'm not sure on that one. I know you were saying don't do that one, but that one could still have a benefit to me. So
Sure.
those were my four features.
Not 7 to 10.
And the reason also I'll say I added the accountability one was thinking of different avatars of who I'm appealing to. And so there are the people who want to read my book. Like, take my money. I want to read these chapters you've been talking about forever. Then there's the people who might not care as much about the book, but they want my brain. And it's like, how did you come up with this world? And you did free diving and spearfishing and research and like that's how your brain works. Oh my goodness. I want to read your behind the scenes. And then there's the people who are like, wow, Caroline is cranking to get this revision done by this time frame. I want to be in the room. I want to be around that energy. I want to get my thing done too. Let's get it done together. So that was how I was thinking of it as attracting creatives and people working on their own project, the nerds and the readers.
Before I give my thoughts on each of these four, I want people who are listening to kind of think about which one of those they would want to sign on for, which one of those they would pay you $9 to $11 a month to be a part of your team to do that, right? Substacks are anywhere from like $3 to $13 a month to sign up for. That is a lot of work for $9. Not just you getting the $9, but me giving $9 because me paying you is me investing in my energy and level. And so if I am paying you $9 and there's all this stuff, suddenly it's not worth my $9 because I'm not going to all this stuff, right? I'm not getting the benefit. So we often overcompensate. We give too much. And then people actually feel like they didn't get their money's worth because they didn't do all the things that they paid for, whether that's $9 or $900, right? And then they just don't show up. They get burnt out. Versus I have this 1 to 2 things I get every month from my thing. And then the rest can be bonuses, right? You can have
Mhm.
bonuses that they can join as a bonus. It's like if you had me pay for Parmesan cheese on a pizza, I'm not as excited as when you have me the Parmesan thing and I get to add the Parmesan on the top, right? And to be fair, I'm having pizza for dinner tonight. So I'm thinking of pizza. But like, I want bonuses way more than I want too many things for me to do. I won't sign up if you offer me too much. And
Yeah.
that feels counterintuitive. So I'm not against these things, but I don't think they become your core offering on Substack for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want you stuck having to make videos, director's cuts videos. I don't want you stuck having to do focus sessions, and I don't want you stuck having to do weekly Q&A calls.
Mhm.
Instead, I want the promise to be the book, and those other three things are once a month to once every other month bonuses. I get 1 or 2 a month that you sprinkle in over the life of you doing these of giving these books out.
Mhm. And I could pick based on my energy
Pick based on your needs. Do you
or
need
what they're
focus session?
interested in. Do you
Mhm.
guys want a Q&A? Do you want a director's cut?
Yeah. I don't want you to give me all of this every week at once. Like we were talking about
Mhm.
before, I want one email a week and then maybe one bonus. I want one core email and max one bonus email. One core thing I get, max one extra thing I get. And you just named 4 emails a week.
No. One chapter and one director's cut.
Weekly Q&A calls,
That's a Zoom.
but that's
And
still
then
another
focus
thing
sessions
you
is
have
on
to
a
send me
calendar.
emails about, right? It's another thing I have to show up for, or I feel like I'm not a part of the community. I now failed as a
Mm.
member of your community if I didn't show up for that thing. And that's the psychology of offering too much. I think all the time about people who have signed up for my programs and never shown up because they said they just felt overwhelmed. There were too many things to do,
Mhm.
so they did none of them. Make it simple for you and your people. The thing they get if they sign up as a paid subscriber is the book
Mhm.
and bonus content around the book. That is the promise. And then that allows you to think of what they want, what you want, and have the flexibility to fulfill that promise in ways that feel exciting and meet you where you're at.
But
How
there
does
needs
that
to
feel?
be good. There needs to be some level of commitment, though. I don't just say bonus content. It would be, and one bonus content per month, right?
Does
Like,
there need to be?
well, when there's money involved, I feel like there's
You bought
some
an annual
expectation.
membership to my Substack. Did you need bonus content promises?
Well, that's different. I'm your really good friend.
You're my really good friend. And you were trying to make really good friend audiences, right? I'm not signing up for your Substack to be a part of an ongoing community that I have to be involved in every month. There are those, and those are
Hmm.
valid. And there are people who make a good living, like London's Writer Salon, I think, does it through Substack, where you come and they host these things, but you don't seem to want to have to be stuck in front of your computer. So bonus content around the book like director's cut videos, Q&A book sessions, and focus sessions. So then it leaves you open to
Hmm.
offer it. You can say once a month if you want, once a month. That I like better than weekly. And
Hmm.
once a month bonus content around the book. If you want to give it a number, I like numbers. So I send my Substack out every Thursday, not because I think people are sitting there on Thursday waiting for my Substack. Sometimes it comes out Friday morning, if we're being honest. Sometimes it doesn't make it out Thursday.
I've
I re
noticed.
I, you would. I love that. I
Fair.
love that. You're the one that would be like, "Oh, Lauren, are you okay? Was there a tech
I was
glitch? I want
12
to make
minutes late.
I appreciate you reading it. Not the 20 minutes late, but you'd be like, Are you okay? Did you get one out this week? I think about this all the time. Marie Forleo was one of the first coaches I ever got online. She sends an email out every Tuesday, not because anyone cares about her email coming on Tuesday, but because she has to make herself send an email every Tuesday. So if you need that container for once a month, then give yourself that container. But I don't know if the people need it. I think we need as simple as possible right now in the world.
Hmm. No, it's funny when you said, well, I don't send you bonus material. And I'm like, that's not the same at all. But you're right. That is what I am wanting to create with these
Yeah.
people.
That's your 3 subscribers. Don't care if you send bonus material.
No, they don't.
They don't. They just want to support you as a writer. And I want to read your book, so I'm going to pay. And then I want to hear about your life around the book, so I'm going to pay. But I don't care about a Q&A call every week. I care about fun things you want to create around your book.
Hmm.
So asking what people really care about more than what they will pay for, I think answers the question better than what will people pay for.
Hmm.
So by saying you'll get bonus content about once a month, examples of bonus content are blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
And then you allow yourself to meet you where you're at and them when they're at throughout it versus promising a thing that could get tedious for everybody.
Right. And seeing if people are excited and want a Zoom call versus no one wants it. And then I'm not having to commit to these times that I threw out.
I always think about it. I always want to be available to be on a movie set or take a trip to Mexico. I want to build things that can have the kind of flexibility that I could do it from Mexico or take it off for a movie set. And so I don't plan things too far in advance or things that require me to show up every single time that I can't plan in advance. So build the life that you want at the core of this all. And so weekly live coaching, I know you don't want to do that. Weekly Q&A, you don't want to do that. But a
Yeah.
monthly Q&A a couple months from now when there's time for them to have read and have questions, right?
Right. I like that it's focused because that is, at the end of the day, that is what it is. It's, do you want to read my book?
Mm-hmm.
And the other things were dressing.
For full transparency, everybody, we had almost an hour conversation before this coaching call. So we had a lot of the core work done, like an early coaching call. But I think that even in that time, we have a lot more clarity right now. At least you seem to have a lot more clarity that you want to be using a Substack to build an audience to read your books.
Hmm.
Not just buy your books, no, to read them, to be
Hmm.
excited about the world and the book. And so if you build a solid, I am doing this so people get excited to read my books, then you build everything else around that and the money will come because you're building the excitement. And so they'll happily pay for the excitement.
Yeah. And I have the content
You
and
do.
it works better there than on Instagram of, I researched how to live on an island without technology, how to free dive, how to spearfish, how do underwater research stations work and what would happen with the water pressure at these different levels. I've done so much that I want to geek out and talk about. And I
Mhm.
think that's what got me excited about this was I can fill this with research, with my thoughts and reflections. And it's just, do people want this? And where do I put things for free versus paid?
Yeah. I think the answer for free versus paid is a hard one. And I think the book is the paid for sure. They only get the book if they got paid because if they pay for it, unless they're doing like arcs or something. So that I think is the line. And then everything else you can decide that day. In the beginning, you might make a
Yeah.
lot of that free because you need people to get excited to buy the book,
Right.
right?
Well, and I was being honest with myself of, okay, say I get 10 people, not to say 10 is good or bad, but say I get some number that could feel demoralizing later of I write this long article on the science of freediving. I'm excited about that. But then if I do this long effort essay and it goes to 10 people who, as you pointed out, three of them probably don't care, they just love me. Is that where I want to put it? But you're right, I don't need to commit now. I could decide later, or at least start with more free because I want that funnel of attraction.
I would say that's a great example of something you should do for free, not
Mhm.
paid.
And
Because
it wasn't
other
going to be paid. It was not going to.
Totally. But the deep dive ones, I actually have been the ones that I've been keeping free because they're the ones that are bringing in other people. Like, for example, this whole series on how to make money, it's free because I want you to go buy my Writer's Career Guide book, right?
Mhm.
So if you have something to give them at the end of it, then that can be that. So I think that this is great. The book is paid and everything else can be free except for the live Q&A, like anything you want to add as a bonus for the people. But I am buying your Substack to buy into the serialization of your book so I can read it each week and have something to do at the end of the week when I'm waiting for Ted Lasso's latest episode to drop, you know? And a lot of people won't want to join in the serialization because they want to read the whole thing. And that's fine. They can read the whole thing when the book is out in 6 months, right?
Mhm.
In the way that I'm doing audio, visual, and reading, you're getting serialization people, full people of the whole series, right? You're getting three
Right.
different people as you're going.
Right. I mean, again, I think about Hugh Howey when I read his books and I love them. I'm like, that poor Lauren hears me say Hugh Howey, Hugh Howey. One time to my husband, I'm like, so this guy, Hugh Howey. And he's like, yes, yes, I know Hugh Howey. I'm like, how do you know Hugh Howey? He's like, because of you, Caroline, you talk about him a lot. So, anyways, this guy, Hugh Howey, I discovered his books through the TV series, which is interesting because in the timeline of his readership, I'm this mega fan all the way out here,
Mm,
but he did the serials, then he had the paperbacks or his books out, then the TV show years later. So I was so far along that you're right. There's people coming in at all different parts of the journey.
yeah. And I'm going to say that the step you need to do is the step that will get you to do the damn thing. Like, get you to finally put your damn book out. So do the things that will lead you to writing the book. The focus sessions, they'll help you. The director's cut, these are things that can help you write the book. Do the damn thing. The
Right.
line that will get you to the result you want the fastest. And that seems to be exactly what you said. The book is serialization, doing fun things around it that are bonuses, getting people interested in the serialization. So then when it comes out, you have people interested in the full thing and get people interested in the first book. So when the first, second, and third and fourth come out, etc., like bring people along and give them a way to like be intimately involved in the journey through the process. That is how you become a Hugh Howey. That is how you become a Rebecca Yarros. That's how you become a Sarah J. Maas. That's how you become a Stephen King.
Yeah, exactly. I think this will help me get my writing mojo back too, is the connection and the fun with it.
Totally. Yeah.
So something I had thought about, which is interesting because you were emphasizing the serialization. There's two sci-fi authors I love. They did some serialization. I've read like full proper books of theirs, and they did some serialization on Substack, and I fell off on both because I am not going to read weekly in my email. Even though I loved what I read of theirs, I just didn't go back. I was thinking for me, right, this is one book. It's 4 acts. The idea is I'm going to expand it into 4 books. So Act 1 is 10 chapters. So I was going to only share Act 1 because that's what I'm going to focus on revising first. I don't want to overpromise. That was one thing I did self-scope myself on. Thank you. Because I was originally going to be like, I'm going to share the whole thing. So I'm going to share Act 1. That's 10 chapters. That would be 10 weeks. So I myself would probably not read that. So my thought was if you pay, you can get all 10 chapters at once. But then that means they could binge it in a weekend and be done with me. Bye.
That's fine.
Like
People
that,
read Because Fat Girl in a day and we're done with me. Like they still
two
read the book,
bathtubs.
right?
That's my
Two
metric.
two bathtubs.
I had to fill the bathtub twice to finish your
Yeah.
book.
I love that you read in the book. I think that you could serialize it and then at the end be like, now it's all ready if you want to read all at once. Or you could serialize it and be like, it's all right here if you want to read it all at once. I have it all together, or if you're somebody who wants it serialization all at once. I think the first way builds excitement more than the second way. I think first and foremost, I only like to create things that I would want. So if you're not somebody who would want serialization, then do it your way.
Hmm.
And they get the first 10 chapters of your book, which is going to be that you're going to turn your first book. And then what they get is an open door process of watching you turn it from 10 chapters into a whole book. So there's a couple ways you could do that here.
Hmm.
I think I want to sit with that though, because I think this isn't the monetization. This is now a strategy, and
Yeah.
that's a different question. And so I want to end with the monetization and think about that and then sit with this serialization. I think you and I can maybe go and do some research, go look at ways that other people have done it, see what you're drawn to, see some interesting ways might be out there. But I want to close up the monetization question first before we go into the okay, now how do I do the actual like content creation? Because that's a whole different sphere. So
Hmm.
with the monetization question, what are three takeaways that you have from this call that you want to think about when it comes to using your Substack to start making money as a writer?
I agree that I can simplify and add bonuses later because then that's going to make people feel excited for it rather than something that they didn't want, but then they feel guilty that they're not joining.
Or excitement versus expectation. So,
So
yeah.
I like that for myself because then I'm not over committing to things and I can do it when I'm excited or if they're excited. So I like that there's this simplifying piece that I'm not over promising. I mean, really, that one I could expand into a lot of takeaways, right? It's simplifying for them for the expectation versus obligation, or excitement versus obligation. And then for me, it's binding up my time for something that people might not even want. If
Mhm.
I'm committing to these weekly calls, committing to these sessions that no one shows up to, but I still need to be there because I told them I would do it. So I like that. I like, yeah, it's funny, the idea of value. Like if I'm adding all these things versus this price is for the chapters. Do you want to read my book? And I can add all these other things, but at the end of the day, it's do you want to read my book? And like you said, it's not that I want them to pay, it's I do want them to read. I want them to read it and enjoy it. And so if not everyone wants to, that's okay. It just needs to be the ones who want to read it.
People who pay attention, right? You're more likely to
Yeah.
actually follow through if you paid for it. I'm way more likely to read a book that I bought than a book that somebody gave me.
Yeah. It's funny. David had said to me when I was like, I really want to do something with this book. He was like, what if you just put it for free on the internet? And I was like, no, no. But it wasn't about money. It was about they won't appreciate it.
Yeah, they won't read it.
But they
They
won't.
won't
They
read it.
won't read it.
They won't read
I've
it.
been to book festivals where people they're getting the free book giveaways and they come back with their haul of 20 and they never read any
They
of
never
them.
read them. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so those are good takeaways. Simplify for yourself, simplify for them, value, and knowing that you just got to get it out there and clarity that this is to build an audience that will read your book. You're not even looking for that will pay me to read the book, that will pay so they commit to doing the thing and being an active member. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for coming on here and sharing with everybody your process so they could learn as well. And please follow along. Caroline, everybody wants to read your book now. So tell us how we can find you and find this book that you're going to have on Substack now.
I am Caroline Davis, author on Substack. My Substack is called The Deep Dive, and I'm also Caroline Davis, author on Instagram.
Let's go follow Caroline both places. I'm super excited. I have read the other book and seen a couple chapters of this one. So I'm super excited to see this go out into the world and watch the behind the scene process. And thank you again for coming on here and chatting with us today.
Thank you, Lauren, for helping me think through it all.
And if you like this conversation, be sure to subscribe to me at Substack, Instagram, and YouTube, where I'm sharing all the process of writing, publishing, and making my first movie in 20 years because we have no gatekeeping around here.